Hello and welcome to the Perpetual Traffic podcast. This is your host, Ralph Burhams. I'm the founder and CEO of Tier 11 alongside my amazing co-host,
Lauren E. Petrullo, founder of Mongoose Media.
And we're so glad you joined us here today. We are in Casa de Garlic.
In person.
In person. Not only are we here, but we're also here with a special guest, Ian Garlic, and we're going to be talking today about AI and video. Like, there's nobody better. Well, there's nobody better that we can get on Perpetual Traffic, that is. to talk about AI and how it's used. We really haven't talked about this at all on this show.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, we have teased an episode, I believe, a few episodes ago. This might have been one that we sort of rebroadcast from a Tier 11 Live, where we talked about a test we're doing right now, which is real video with real humans versus AI-generated video with AI-generated humans, and what that test is going to be. So we're going to reveal that in a future show, so make sure that you hit the subscribe button wherever you listen to or watch Perpetual Traffic. So, well, I'm so proud and happy and honored to be the host of the Ian Garlic show. I've always wanted to be 7'2" and strikingly handsome like you are.
Strikingly handsome.
Yeah. So
that's AI.
That's AI generated. Well, I could be, 6'4" in AI world.
You can be whatever you want in AI world.
Whatever it is. Well, like you as when I think about video, in all seriousness, like, you're the guy that I think of, and because you're so good at what you do. If you're not familiar with what Ian does, Video Case Story is his company. We've had him on multiple times here. We'll leave links in the show notes. And we really haven't talked about this much. I mean, we've talked about AI and a lot of the tools that we're using and so forth. But in video right now, I think that's like the final, I wouldn't say it's the final frontier, but it's the frontier that still people are trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And I don't think people really know exactly what tools to use. I know there's obviously editing tools that you and your team probably use. So we can talk about that here today, which I think will be helpful and useful for a lot of folks that are listening. But really, it's like, what is the future of AI? Like, is it going to, at some point, is it going to be indistinguishable between like talking head videos and AI generated stuff? Like, what's your sense as to where the puck is going, so to speak?
I mean, I'm already seeing stuff that's indistinguishable. Like, you can't tell. Because I've been working with some people and they have YouTube channels and like, oh yeah, this one is, because they've got it so dialed in.
Yeah.
And so much of it is like the prompting, the connection, obviously the quality of what you put in with AI, but I just can't help but see a content explosion. And this is where I think it's going to flip. I mean, here's number one thing. I'm being really careful with what I use AI in YouTube channels, because I feel YouTube's still going to be the future, but YouTube will start to filter AI videos. It has to.
Yeah.
It has to go, do you want to see humans or do you want to see AI? Because there's going to be such an explosion of content that people are going to be like, I want the real person. Because, I mean, we just heard the other day, we filmed, and this is an AI video, but it's, we for the Florida Bar Association, we filmed a training for young lawyers on ChatGPT. And I think we might be able to put it public and put in the show notes, but you'll see the lawyers in it because they're getting so nervous because they had a real judge doing this and we're shooting it, and you could see the lawyers get nervous because the lawyers that used it completely went down the rabbit hole. ChatGPT had all these hallucinations, fake cases, told the attorneys it was real. They brought it to a judge. When they found out it was a fake case, they didn't tell the judge. Which now is something you can go to jail for. Not just lose your license, you can go to jail for lying to a judge, right? And so this comes back to the idea of the hallucinations. And we talked about it because it happens in people, right? Where we say, this is dogma, this is marketing dogma. And if it's a really tall, good-looking guy that we know that is out there telling it on stage, now everyone goes and tells it to everyone else and then it gets in there. AI is doing the same thing. So the information can quickly get diluted So if it's information, from visually though, I mean, it's crazy. You can't tell the difference, and I mean, I'm seeing like ads for agencies that are like, hey, do you want to start your OnlyFans channel with just AI? And they're like showing the videos, and they're like, oh my God, this is crazy what's going on. So their tools are out there, you can do it, but right now it's like wielding a chainsaw to cut a cake, right? It's gonna get messy. So, I mean, I see the future of it. I mean, you're using AI, we're all using tools like HeyGen, AI agents that are building out AI agents. It's just crazy how fast it's moving. I do think you need to know about it, and you need to be thinking about it and using it, especially in your content development. But I would be careful from a YouTube and SEO side of making it in your entire channel.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like you bring up a good point, is that whenever there's a new trend that multiplies the effectiveness, I think of, backlink building or, like content spinners. Remember those? Way back when? Link farms, all of that. And that exploded. And that's kind of when we got out of SEO, for example. Because all those tools, it was so easy to use them and rank, but there was a finite lifetime of that. And what I always say is, like, one of the great examples is that when I was in the affiliate world, I ranked for almost 90 days for a website using, I think it was called like the Ultimate Spinner, and then a bunch of these link farms and all this other fake content. And I ranked #1 in Google for how to lose weight fast with an exact match domain. So remember the exact match domain thing?
Yeah.
And it was great. Like those 90 days were amazing. Like I made a lot of money with a bunch of scammy affiliate products, which, I'm sort of embarrassed to admit that I sold. But the point is I got on that, and then at some point Google figures it out. This is the same thing.
People would always come to me and go, oh, here's this new thing, right? And like one of it was, oh, we've got it so we can change the keyword suggest, like when you're typing something. I'm like, you're messing with Google's keyword suggest. They employ 25,000 of the smartest people in the world. They use 1% of the world's energy. And you think that guy you just met from wherever who had just started SEO is outsmarting those people at that one thing?
Right.
My parents, they own restaurants, and they had, at one restaurant, they had super valuable flatware, and it would just all disappear. And my mom was like, I remember telling the story of it, and she goes, I'm thinking about 1,000 different things. All that person's thinking about is getting that thing out of the building. So how am I going to beat them? So, but Google, you've got the reverse, and that's where I think. I'm like, how are you messing with Google? And YouTube has such a good thing going. They're being really, really careful with it. And because it's, TikTok can go away. You never hear anyone complain about YouTube.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's true.
No one goes, oh, I hate everything on YouTube, because they have it, and they just over there silently taking over TV, taking over everything.
I have it so dialed in. It's become just like my personal habits. Is like when I turn on my smart TV, it's like I either go to the channel that I always watch, local sports, and then the next one over is YouTube. Because I'm like, whatever I click there's going to be something that they're going to automatically, based on my previous history, something that is fundamentally super exciting for me to watch.
Yep.
And then I stay and I watch, and that's what I watch.
It's not helping my ADD.
No, no, absolutely. Or then I click over to the shorts. The shorts are all, stuff that I'm interested in. It's crazy how much it's dialed in. It's taken away such a share of so many of the other platforms, at least me personally. And you're right, nobody's talking about it because they know, the algorithm works so well. And if you can keep people watched and engaged, and I think AI-generated stuff is going to alienate that platform, and that is anathema for them. That is the worst thing that they could ever have happen, is all of a sudden engagement rates go down because AI takes over, because the algorithm allows it.
Yep, and they have to be really careful with that. I think there's going to be some backlash, and that's where it, like you were saying, I saw so many people with doing all the SEO tactics and then what was it, Penguin? That, you know, for those of you that've been doing SEO long enough, that they used to name the updates. They don't do that anymore, right?
Yeah, Matt Cutts.
Matt Cutts. Oh, you'd watch Matt Cutts and be like, oh, Matt Cutts had a Diet Coke today. We're in for it.
Right. Oh, yeah. And people there was like a mattcutts.com, and who is Matt Cutts? Like people monitoring like everything he does.
Not at all.
Back in the SEO, like
He was the head of Google SEO.
Yeah.
Okay.
And whatever Matt Cutts did, you watched.
Got you.
And that's I guess
I
that
understand
dates
the
it.
Diet Coke reference. I was like, did they name the Google updates people?
No, they named it for animals. So then the
Yeah,
penguin.
no, I remember that because, I remember that being part of the updates, but I didn't understand the
Matt Cutts. Yeah. So Matt Cutts, and then one day Penguin comes along and shuts and then so many businesses get shut down. Yeah. Right. And if you because you can build up the YouTube channel and you can build it up fast. And here's the other problem I see with it is if you don't get the data from the hooks, and because if you're just optimizing, right, and AI is just going to optimize for any type of data it can get. If you are going after bigger clients, you're not going to get any data because they don't provide any data. Like they're not going to they might subscribe a little bit. Right. So your channel can go really down, attracting the wrong people. And I've seen this too because I've been in a couple groups and they're like, "Oh, I want someone more like you," right? And I'm like, "Well, you're not marketing to us. I just made the logical leap that I want to work with you." And I'm like, "But all your other stuff is like optimized for the DIYer,
right?
Not the some person who I want to learn enough to talk to someone and hire someone."
Yeah, makes sense. So, I think just that unto itself, if you think you've missed out and you should be producing more content using AI or HeyGen or Synthesia and all these platforms that are pretty damn good right now, it's still the stuff that you actually have to go and shoot and do what we're doing right now physically. We're in a studio, shooting this thing, which is going to go on YouTube, and then it's going to go on all our social channels. And that's the work that you have to continue to do. So I think for a lot of people who are listening or watching, it's in the back of your mind, am I doing the right thing? Well, if you're doing it the old school way, it's still the right thing. The second question to that is, how can I use AI to accelerate or at least use tools and maybe, giving some examples here of the stuff that you guys use as a professional video agency. What are the AI tools that you use to increase productivity of those right types of videos? What's your go-to right now? Maybe even a tool list to a certain degree.
I mean, we still use Premiere because it does transcripts and you're going to have higher quality, right? The Adobe Suite's really good. Yeah. We are playing around with, some of the OpenAI video generation, especially for B-roll.
Yep.
Definitely as far as color correction, fixing things, taking weird stuff out, AI is amazing. Hey, I don't want that person to be there. Boom, that person's gone. Right. I don't want that bug that's flying around. It's Florida. Welcome to Florida.
Yeah, that bug just got edited out through Premiere.
So we use Premiere for that, and a few of the other ones that Firefly, I think is one of them. Obviously, we use Descript. Yep. I love Descript, but also, I've been building out our own AI agents, so that because I have not found a good way, and I've used all the models on the AI agents and building out LLMs, so large language models, and RAGs to analyze, but for very specific analysis, because I can't put something into ChatGPT and it'll pull out good hooks. It just won't still. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, it missed this, missed this, missed this, missed this. Right. No matter how much I'm building the prompt out, because the way ChatGPT is set up. So I'll switch out the models that are connecting to that for the analysis. But we're using Airtable a lot. Yep. Airtable a lot for the content and the content structure and the content recall. And I think that's the big opportunity is as we build out the content, being able to connect all the content quickly and properly and go, hey, you should, now that you did this, I talked about this here, and we kind of do it mentally in our podcast episodes, right? And we're like, oh, I'll refer to this one, but there's no way you remember all of your podcast episodes.
Right.
Whereas it could go, and if you structure it properly, find the right clips and go, here, that's what we're doing more of, like, hey, here's a little bit of this, go watch this.
Yeah.
Here, and know more and figure out that user journey. And more analysis, and that's where the case story piece comes in too, is because as we're collecting more of the case stories for clients, we can use the AI to analyze what these people are really thinking. Because right now, it's using like the generality of, and you know, one thing that I still cringe a lot is because people still use, like, you have to use an ICP idea, but I think you're losing out by saying ICP because you're not telling the story of the person. But if you know the story of the person, that's where it's like, that's what I'm getting big into. It's like, what does this person want to know? And how quickly can I generate that and test that out?
Interesting. How do you use Airtable? In what way? Like, I understand Premiere, Adobe, like I think most people know that, and that's what our producer uses.
Yeah.
And I know that that's what our video producer at Tier 11 uses. That's what like our whole staff uses that. But I haven't heard Airtable. Like, how do you guys use that?
So separating out all the content and analyzing the content and getting it into an Airtable. So within Airtable, you can have automations that automatically happen and say, okay, go find me this, or analyze this for hooks, or give me a summary of this. And so I can have columns of it. So it becomes faster then for the AI and less chance of it to have a mistake, right? Because the bigger the AI prompt gets and the more information it goes through, the better chance of a hallucination or just a simple little mistake or missing something. So it analyzes it better. And then we're using things like Pinecone and Supabase, which are vectorized content tables. So to even make it faster for it to find the information. But that's bringing everything together. And so it still comes back to like, hey, you've got to have your core 4 converting videos, and then you've got to have the case stories around it, and then you have your big idea videos. And once you've, what I call the green zone, you know, where you really own that area, where you really have all the information that someone needs to make a buying decision, and you really do that. Because everyone goes straight to cold traffic way out here, and they're not owning this area where you can be answering everyone's questions. So once we do that, now we go, okay, along this user journey what other content does this person want to hear? What other problems? What problems are they not asking about that they're thinking about? And that's where we're doing that content analysis with the case stories and then going, hey, generate me 20 questions that they're thinking about but not asking anyone.
Okay, makes sense. How about the short video editors? Like, take a long video and then throw it in. And like, what are your thoughts on any and all of those? Do you guys use those for like the TikTok type formats? You know,
I don't use any of
Reels, etc.
We use Descript, and I'm very specific on the hooks because I still don't see it finding the great hooks. And I'm like, I haven't gotten to the point yet.
Yeah.
You know, and
because it auto-generates, it thinks it knows what the hooks are, and it's right maybe 10 or 20% of the time, it seems like.
We just onboarded a new client, and they went through our discovery process. They're like, yeah, we spent 30 grand last year on YouTube, and I went through it, and I'm like, it was 100% AI generated, because it's like, it made no sense.
Yeah.
There was no user journey in it, but they don't know that as a client. And I only know that because it's an industry I'm very well versed in.
They think I'm putting out video content. That's what I need to be doing.
But did they film it and it was AI generated script?
AI generated cuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
They filmed it. But it made no sense.
Yeah.
And you still have to have the human in the machine.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's where the tool comes in. It's like, this is where I think across the board, you're going to have more trusted authorities that are going to be running AI tools, but you're going to still need like the Lauren running all the AI tools, and the Ralph looking at it and going, no, that really doesn't work.
Right.
And just that human aspect of it.
They have to have like that marketing mindset. It's really like a tool that could figure out like what your ICP is actually thinking. When we say ICP, that's ideal customer profile, if you don't know what that is. But that would be an add to the those types of editing tools. I just don't see that happening, though. Like you need inferences, you need it to be able to sort of go to a whole other level. Granted, AI is, the technology behind what we're seeing right now is just like quantum leap forward, like every other month. The point is like, will it actually get to that point? Like my ICP has these particular issues. Figure out what hooks based upon those issues, inferences, and then make shorts out of that. Like I haven't seen that happening. Do you think something like that will eventually happen? Because the hook is the thing.
The hook is the thing.
Yeah.
I think the testing of it will happen. I think because you can you'll be able to rapidly scale it with ads, and go, here's 10,000 different hooks. Let me spend $2,000. Jotform just did that, right? I had them on the show, and I'm going to release that episode soon. That's what they did to test out their ads. It was like 2,000 different hooks. And I think that's where it's going to go, but I still think you're going to, you won't get the where's the beef, right? You won't get everyone laughed at me until I sat down and started playing.
Right.
You have to have a sense of the environment.
AI would not pick up that.
No. No, it wouldn't. And also, it's weird on top of it all is I'm noticing speech patterns becoming circular because I listen to so many things and I'm like, and then like I actually notice myself talking, if I watch enough AI videos, starting to talk like AI too, which is, I think we're going to start to be able to sense that more so than ever before. I think it's really, so, but I don't think you're going to, I think you'll be able to have a guesstimate. If you have enough data in there, structured the right way, you'll be able to talk to a version of your customer, but it won't have the humanity. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if you're talking to anyone doing any of this stuff that's just doing the AI, you're gonna have a problem. And if you're talking to anyone that's not touching the AI, you're gonna have a problem. I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So the tools are still sort of the same tools in a lot of ways, like Descript. I never know how to pronounce it, but like we use that all the time. Descript. I mean, it's great when you're doing I use it on the weekly video I do for my agency. It just takes out my ahs and my ums and it separates everything, and all of a sudden a 7-minute video is now a 6-minute. Like it's such a great tool. But that is more nuts and bolts. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like it's Premiere, it's Adobe, it's Firefly, it's that kind of stuff, which are tools that most videographers, most producers, have been using for years. So it's not like a huge shift. It's like they were very much on the vanguard of AI and installed AI tools very quickly. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah. And you can look at like films that have, they're pushing against even the computer generated because you can still feel it. And whatchamacallit was Wicked, right? Most of it was practical effects, and it shows. And I think we're going to notice that. I do think there'll be places for a lot of this AI, especially in testing, to happen. But like I said, I think it's going to have to be filtered. But to your point with Descript, I do think that editors that were good at visual editing owned more of the editing process than they should have. And now we're going to see great copywriters owning more of the video editing process.
That's a good point.
Because that's what I used to have to do, is like our old system was, I'd come back with all the footage, I'd have them batch it out into different angles. So, and then like our storyboards were different angles, and I'd look at all the footage at each angle. And then I'd have someone hand transcribe it sometimes, and then eventually we got the regular transcriptions. But I would look and say, okay, we want that clip, that clip, that clip, that clip, that clip, that. So as the copywriter, I could do that. And it's like film, because the film, like the editor does stuff, but the director's there watching it.
Right.
Because he's really kind of the copywriter of it.
Right. He knows which things are like the important things that move the narrative forward, which is the same thing you're trying to do in video.
And pacing too.
Yeah, and pacing.
The ums and ahs. Getting rid of the ums and ahs. I'm reading this awesome book called The Expectation. Is it Expectation Effect? No. Which book is it? I think it might have been Adam Grant's Give and Take. It's about communication style. And actually the ums and ahs make us more impactful as communicators.
Interesting.
Because when we see someone not being perfect, we get more endeared to them. So it's an interesting thing.
It's true.
And
I could totally see that.
Yeah, he talked about one attorney who starts stuttering, and they thought he was going to lose the case. It was a big litigation, and he ended up winning because everyone's like, "Oh, I really liked him," because he became approachable. So there's that aspect too when you come to AI, and it's like you got to think about all these things, and also facial expressions.
Yeah.
Like we read facial expressions. Humans are born to read micro expressions. You're like, I know someone's lying because you can see it. Like you don't read it.
There's some dissonance
Yeah.
that's happening. The words don't match what you in your database of faces and facial expressions and nonverbal communication. You're like, there's something not right here. And then you get that feeling in the back of your head. You're like, something's not right with that guy or whatever it is. Yeah.
And that's where, I mean, with case stories, like that's why I always tell people not to have an interview style and not have scripts and not ask for testimonials, because we read the faces, but if they're either reading a script or they're nervous, the nervous comes across as lying.
Interesting, yeah.
And you know, we go.
That's a super good point, actually.
And that's where, like, we've got to make that person comfortable. Because we think that they're lying. In the back of your head, you might never be saying it, just like there's something off about what they're saying. And I think that can do more harm too.
And it becomes so much more natural.
Yeah, and it's so easy. I think AI, just doing purely informational stuff, it's like, this is what you need to learn, and dun 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 dun. I think
Training videos.
Training videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see it there.
Yeah, and I've been watching a lot of stuff, and I'm realizing, oh, this is the AI version of that guy.
Right.
And I actually found myself, as I was talking about it, actually talking like the AI. I'm like, whoa, that was weird.
That's wild.
So, anyways.
I strongly disagree. I think that within the next 4 to 6 months, Meta will let us upload a video, and then they'll say, would you like us to automatically generate different derivatives of your video by inserting AI written hooks to test it out. That's what I.
Oh, I think Meta will.
Yeah,
I think Meta will.
Yeah.
But I think YouTube is going to have the ability to filter, for sure, AI and non-AI. Yes, you already have to watermark your stuff, and if you don't disclaim it, I think there's going to be a lot more lawsuits that go after it. And I disagree. I think AI videos are going to do better, but to your and ahs, because it's a pattern interrupt, it's an NLP thing. So the ahs and ums, when they get cleared out, will become popular.
I mean, I just think, I think what's going to happen is if your channel's overly AI, people are going to be like, I don't want an AI channel.
I think there are going to be some, but I think most won't care. But that's why I think people are going to have higher ticket in-person items, because experiential learning is going to take the cusp. So after a pandemic world where you couldn't interact with people, we coveted in-person relationships. Then there's a swing of the pendulum, but I think with AI-generated content, I think concert tickets are going to go up massively. I think Broadway shows are going to...
They already have.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's still going to get even higher.
Can it get any higher?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, especially
for sure, because you're going to have less engagements, where you're going to have more actual items. My assumption is that like plays will make a big comeback. It's going to be experiential, both with retail and with performers.
I don't know.
And I think live is going to take over. So if someone doesn't want to watch AI, you have to watch it live.
Yeah.
But AI enhancements to videos, I can tell you have already worked well.
I think I felt like we were talking mostly about YouTube, not necessarily on the channels per se. I think that's a whole other conversation, because I agree. I think Meta is going to, like, they're already starting to do it now with creative. It's just a matter of time before, and I've seen a lot of it,
They'll
like in
slice up
beta.
your video. You have your voice.
It's pretty damn good. Like, what's
I didn't
coming
even know
through.
any of this. This was just a jump that I made for.
No, I've seen a
seconds.
beta of their AI generated video. It's really fucking good.
The thing with the video, you subscribe and then you say, hey, if you'd like us to test other hooks.
Yeah.
I think AI that companies acquire like Adobe and Meta are going to adopt less resources upon the small business owner so that they can use it better, but you have to take the burden of operations. Video is still behind because people aren't filming. AI is making it easier to get content, but I think we have max 2 years.
I think YouTube channels, though, people are going to tune out. I really like it. You know, you could have interjected and said, I completely disagree. It would have been fun.
That's why I'm recording this, because we can add this in.
Wow. I completely disagree. It was just
So
it's
on
fine
YouTube,
that
so wait a second. You disagree on the fact that you think that, like, when I turn on or you put on YouTube, and you see a video and you
I don't care
somewhat
that it's
know
AI.
that it's AI.
I don't care. I care about who is behind it. So if like CNBC or Sesame Street or whatever channel I want to watch,
Yeah.
I don't care. I want the consumption of the information. I would rather have better production value, better editing, than have a clunky video that's not AI.
Yeah.
Or I want AI to search on the video because I want to cut through the stuff that's not relevant.
Well, and I think like that's what we're talking about in the educational stuff, yes, but on like experiencing the person. If I'm going to hire the person, I want to experience the person.
Well, I think you're going to be able to license out their digital twin.
Yeah.
So I don't think that people are going to care as much. That's where I'm saying like higher ticket in-person stuff is going to go up. I think masterminds are going to double in price within the next year and a half because people want in-person experiences with the actual individual.
Well, and we're going to need someone who also, that's where you're going to need the trusted authority who filters out all the AI stuff. Because this can be hard to go through it all.
Sure. But you'll have people that are going to make money quick. They're going to be able to adapt and adopt and they'll make their money, get out. But I still think that people are going to be okay and prefer AI content at times, especially when it can be content that's tailored. I just assume that there's going to be instances where you guys were talking about the different consumers. Let's say, like you work with lawyers, you've got divorce lawyers, you've got accident injury lawyers, you've got will, states, and trusts. You can have the same piece of content, but then YouTube is going to allow you to have a version A for family attorneys, a version B for personal injury, version C from the same source content. Anyways, my assumption is that YouTube is going to open that up. You're going to have the core piece of content, and then you're going to have approved intros and outros or overlapping phrases that make it relevant. So every time I say the word lawyer, insert family lawyer in that video. Because there's tools like the one we saw yesterday at the Mansion Mastermind where they're doing spin text.
Yeah.
And they're swapping out those variables. I assume YouTube is going to do that so that you can have it personalized to who you are, and it's going to go even stronger with localization. Because the way that you say, as I understand, water fountains in Milwaukee is bubbler.
Yeah.
So if it's localized, you can insert that language to build stronger trust with someone that you can't do at scale without AI.
I can see that. I look at that as a tool, though. I look at that as like one subset of the evolution of AI. I think what I was thinking, when we were recording this, I was like, are humans going to be replaced by AI-generated humans on YouTube channels?
Yes. I mean, we've already seen that with OnlyFans.
Yeah.
So I think, yes. People want the connection to the creator, and they want the personalization of the creator, and you can't do it at scale without AI. And I think most people will say they prefer the real thing, but if you look at food, more people buy non-organic than organic. So I just think
cheaper.
AI will be that for food.
Yeah, that's cheaper.
Yeah.
Cheaper.
So why wouldn't you use the
And
same AI?
non-organic also, like, it's cheaper, but also it's easier access, and crappier food is made to taste better, right? So I think...
I feel like this is exactly how I would describe why I think AI will be a preferred medium for a lot of the
It's all going to be
content.
the same price.
I meant in terms of price though, it's going to be, I'm valuing the price of the content. So you could be like, hey, you can look at Lauren on AI, here's the entire course for the Algorithm Academy, it's right there. It was all done, like all the courses we've done were with AI. I didn't record any of it, we wrote it and everything. Or you can do the organic version.
That's where I think, I think that's where human-generated AI talking heads are absolutely going to take over. It's like it's already doing it in training.
But you don't have to have just the talking heads because
Yeah.
now you can upload a picture and a product, and there was a new AI software that came out where they have the product being used. I think the mixed reality and the enhancement with AI is going to blur out any gap between knowing the difference between real AI and real person.
Yeah.
I just think that we're not going to notice it by the end of the year. If you want to hear Lauren's rant about how she disagrees completely, and I think that AI will be more advantageous and more cost effective for business owners to use in their ads, listen to her vent here.
No, I agree with the ads piece. It's not the ads piece.
Oh, I totally do too.
Then
100%.
I don't think there's any instance. That's why, like, I think that films will be better because they're going to use AI and they're going to use budgets for more effective screens. Like, I'm sorry, like, I mean, set designers and costumes are going to have different roles, but I think their roles are going to be adopted into AI, where you don't have to be limited by the materials available to you. But I just think that movies are going to get better when they're leveraging AI because the budget that they're going to save, they can put towards higher production value. And I think experiences like a Broadway show in person is going to cost more and be the desired date versus the movie of, oh, well, we can watch another thing.
How much higher can those prices go?
Yeah.
Way higher.
The Four Nations final, which is a hockey thing, the on ice seat that we looked at was $12,800. I bought the same ticket to the NHL Stanley Cup Finals 2 years ago for $1,800. Like, how much higher can prices go? It's insane. To get into the building
higher.
To get into the building would have cost $1,200 a seat. That's $2,500.
There are stadiums that are putting hot tub suites.
I get it, but it's like all of a sudden, like, who can afford that?
I think there's always going to be more expensive seats, and I think they're going to subsidize cheaper seats. It's like the Ryanair CEO has said that if I build a plane and have 95% of people being able to buy a cheaper ticket if they can stand, it would sell out overnight. So that the like 4 or 5 luxury ticket seats where you can actually like put your butt down and maybe lie flat, that will pay for the rest of the plane. But people are always going to want what's cheaper, which for me will be AI, and they're always going to increase the price because someone will pay for it.
Well, if you look at the economics of the airplane industry, they only make money on first class. Really, like economy is like
it's like restaurants with desserts and beverages.
100%. Mm-hmm. And then like super world, like those bubble seats that you go on like Qantas to go to Australia, or I forget the other one that goes over, into the Middle East. Emirates. It's like that upper class. That is like 90% of the profit margin of any particular flight. Everything in economy is at a loss.
So I think your ticket's going to be higher than 12,000. I think they're still going to increase it.
Nobody bought it though.
Okay.
That's the funny thing. It's like, how much higher can prices go? That's my question.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, granted, we had all these crazy Canadians coming down from Canada going to Boston, like because they thought this was the game of the century. So there was a strange element there, but it was such a realization for me. I have never seen prices that high before, even though I have looked at Super Bowl prices in the past.
Yeah.
Super Bowl comes close to that.
Yeah.
Like for it doesn't even need to be like a 50-yard line seat, like, 10th row, like they were going for 2 years ago.
I want to pull up World Cup
grand.
tickets.
World Cup tickets, same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but people will pay a premium for the in-person experience, 100%.
And I think there's going to be accessibility to watching it virtually at a cheaper cost that the in-person tickets will send. Because even with like virtual reality, mixed reality, you're able to visit museums. I think that's going to be coming where you can sit in a seat that is designated view for the virtual.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think prices are going to go higher. Because if you can imagine, if you're a basketball team and then you create virtual access where you have a designated like row of seats or section so that you don't have anyone in front of you, and then you get to physically put yourself in whatever chair you want and experience it in person, that would mean that they get to sell what would have been 10 seats as potentially 10,000 and make those super cheap. You can now get generations of fans to pay attention to your brand because they get to see it as if they're there.
MetaQuest isn't really all that far off from that in a lot of ways.
The biggest thing about those is that they're uncomfortable to put on. I wear glasses and you get that like meta hickey. But those Ray-Bans, those recorded my hot tub stand-up that I had done in Mexico. I don't know if I told you that. It was all recorded on Ray-Bans.
Oh, really?
The meta glasses. And so I think once those become as easy to put on, VR and mixed reality will be everywhere.
Yeah.
So tickets will get more expensive.
As a result of the fact that you can get the experience, a virtual experience, at a lower price, at the lower end of the scale. Yeah, it's an interesting take. No, I think I just don't know how much higher prices can actually go, because still, like, there's no substitute for being in person at a game, especially like I'm a hockey fan, so it's like I have season tickets to the Bruins, but I pay for that because the experience there is so much better than it is sitting on my couch. Although it sort of depends on what
the sport too.
It depends on the sport. Like football, watching football on TV is amazing.
Especially when it's cold.
Watching golf in real life is like you're like, I saw a shot.
Yeah.
And that's all you see.
Boring.
It's
Yeah.
that's why everyone's wasted.
It's episodic. Yeah.
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 And it's like, oh, you can't tell what happened.
Yeah.
And like, or you're up on the green, you see it come on, you don't see the shot, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But to your point, like, yeah, hockey, and here's the thing, we're just entering a realm of black swan AI events. Like, we can pretend like we're guessing, but it's the thing that we don't know what's going to happen is going to happen.
It's true.
I'm just even thinking about like the golf component, like how you're saying it edits, you see all these different angles. Like if you go to NASCAR, you can change the radio so you can hear the different players. I think there's ultimately going to be a place where on TV, whatever's broadcast, say you have 40 different cameras, 40 different angles, that they're going to edit the version of the match that you would want to, following your favorite players, following like the yellow.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be, you and I will be watching the same game, but because of what we're caring about is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So even more so than how you might be looking more at the offensive side and I'm looking at defense. I think
That's right.
what's gonna happen.
That comes back to the idea. I think there's going to be AI backlash, and people.
Why? For me, but like, imagine if you got to watch the game that you wanted to watch. That's edited for the stuff that you're like, shoot, I missed it, or like, I couldn't see that angle because they're always focused on this one player, and it's like, no, I care more about my nephew who's like right center back. I think that people are going to be able to see the edited live version of all the cuts, the way that we try to do by changing the radio station, or like with Formula One, you can sometimes change different angles on the TV if you've got the F1 app.
I was about to say Formula One is going that direction right now because I mean they've made a really good push, and there's a video on YouTube that talks about sort of the monetization of Formula One and how it was really revolutionized with Drive to Survive, which is
coming
like,
out soon.
It's coming out like next week. The season
big F1
7. But it's because of that, because of the personalization and understanding the personalities of the individual drivers. All of a sudden, that drove ratings. But the next evolution of that is like, I want to watch Lewis Hamilton for the entire race.
Yeah.
I don't care about Max Verstappen quite as much, but it's like the F1 app is almost like what you're talking about.
But it's still manually on you, the user, to make those decisions.
But
imagine when AI can come in and personalize that because they know your like history, and then you can pause and give feedback and just be like, whoa, 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 I need more in the pit, okay? I want to hear the managers, and I want to know what they're screaming.
Right.
Like, I want every pit stop. Like, you'll be able to have that personalization. I think that's coming sooner than later, because if I can come up with it, someone already did.
Instead of you entering in, yes, I want to follow,
switch to Hamilton,
Aldo
switch
Norris
to
or whoever.
Mercedes.
Right. Like, they would do it automatically, just like when you go on YouTube, you all of a sudden see like your favorite videos and related stuff.
Yeah,
because it knows what your watch history
100%. And I think there's going to be a point where, like, say we're all watching a game. Say we have, like, we'll use the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. We're watching a TV, but the glasses we have, same game. We're like, but you and I are watching two different versions side by side.
See, but this is also.
'Cause I don't want to watch your cut.
But that
I don't want to watch your cut.
What we're missing then is the human group experience. Everyone wants that group experience.
But we would. We'll all be watching it together. But I'm going to enjoy. I'm speaking for women who read romance novels out there. You know, if you're not a sports fan, you're watching the games because you're looking at the men that are stretching, or the women, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But, like, that's a different view. And so if someone's like, oh, I like going to the games for this, or I like seeing the crowd, you can give that individual person. And now I'm more inclined to watch a game with you. I'm not a hockey fan. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. I want to watch a sport in person, not on TV. But if there's the version that I would watch, I would be happy to come hang out.
Is it true that women watch the NFL just because of the tight uniforms below the waist?
Whoa. There are cheerleaders in Korea that got people to start watching baseball.
True. Good point.
Are football pants the Lululemons?
Pretty much.
For the male athlete?
100%. They're the precursor to the Lululemon for men. Oh, Lululemons aren't quite that skin tight. Anyway, it's just an interesting thought. So you'd be watching their butts while I'd be watching, I don't know, like the offensive formation. Like the offensive line and how they...
I'm watching who's on the sidelines. I want to know what they're gossiping about. Like, dude, I'm so hungover from yesterday. I want to know what they're talking about. But here's what's going on in the game. It could be like playing Nintendo at that point. Anyways, that's what I'm just coming up with now, and this isn't the space that like I live in or think in. So if I've just
But
created that idea,
you're also a little bit
someone
augmented right now.
already created it.
Yeah, we didn't say about the consumption of the edible prior to the recording of this show.
I have allergies. Okay.
You had allergies, right?
I do. I've been crying. Look how swollen my face is.
If someone really wants to enhance their AI, they need to be feeding it their client stories, the right client stories, and really fleshing those out. And that's why I created the 7-Figure Case Story Finder. It's a tool we use to help people find the right case stories, to flesh them out so they're ready to capture those stories, but also talk about them. You can get that. I made the tool available at videocasestory.com/PT. And also, make sure to comment below, and if you do use it, let me know how it's working.
Well, that's cool. It's been great being the host of the Eye and Garlic Show here today. And AI is going to make me 6'5", like I said before.
Yeah.
I said 7'2". I think that's just too tall for me.
Depends.
Yeah, depends. I don't know. Jen wouldn't like it all that much. That's the most important part. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Your wardrobe would suffer.
My wardrobe would suffer, yeah.
It's difficult to find clothes.
I'd have to re-outfit, yeah. I have to go to like those big and tall stores.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I'm the average size guy, 5'9", size 9.5 feet. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
I'm the shortest one at this table.
You are.
Wow.
You seem the second tallest to me.
My ego compensates. Where my vertical.
It's between the stilettos and sometimes the hair. Fluffy. Yesterday, when you came to the Not So Mansion Mastermind, which was amazing, but was not in a mansion.
It was really cool, yes.
It was very cool. Your hair, you looked like 7 feet tall. You were like the tallest person there. It was you're an optical illusion, I think that's what it is.
That is how I describe myself.
Yeah, you're an optical illusion. So make sure you check out Ian over at videocasestory.com. Any other places where people can find you?
I'm on the YouTube.
You're on the YouTube. The real Iron Garlic.
The real
For
Iron
now.
Garlic. I have Iron Garlic and the real Iron Garlic.
Okay, that's
There
true.
are two different ones, and Video Case Story, and yeah, you can find all my old videos on there. My most successful one is of rare Costa Rican animals that climbed all over me.
Really?
Yeah,
We'll have to find the link in that.
yeah.
Put that in the show notes.
Show notes,
Yes,
yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got it. It was really interesting because like you'll see me like feeding one or two of them, and then you look up and there's like 1,000 of them all came out of the jungle,
Out of the
and they start
jungle.
climbing up me, and
I would be completely freaked out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
As long as
anyways,
it's caught on camera, it would be allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not AI generated. Even
not AI
better, it's
generated.
actually real.
it's real.
Well, we'll leave links to all those very cool videos of Ian being crawled over by, rare tropical animals over at perpetualtraffic.com. And we would really appreciate wherever you listen to podcasts, leave us a rating or review. A 5-star rating or review we would really, really like. Those are good.
They're our favorites.
There are our favorites, but an honest review. We haven't read reviews in quite some time. We need to start reading our reviews again. So we will make that as part of our pledge in the next month of shows.
Pinky promise.
Pinky promise. Give us a review on wherever you listen, or a comment over on Spotify, and we'll read it out onto the air. You'll become podcast famous for 15 minutes or so. So that's over at perpetualtraffic.com.
Someone should leave a review just being like, oh my gosh, I love Perpetual Traffic almost as much as I love videocasestory.com. Let me tell you why videocasestory.com, and insert their own free
There you
commercial.
go, right there. It's like a 2-for-1.
2-for-1.
Fantastic. All right, so on behalf of my amazing co-host, Lauren E. Petrullo,
Ciao.
and Ian Garlic for coming on Perpetual Traffic. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for
in
having
your
me.
studio, by the
My
way.
studio. Thanks for coming to Garlic Studios.
Until next show, see ya.